a heart that hurts. I want to spend my life mending broken people. I want to spend my life mending broken people.
Hello and welcome to 3ABN Today. My name is C.A. Murray, and allow me once again to thank you for sharing just a little of your no doubt busy day with us. To thank you for your love, your prayers, your support of 3NTO's broadcasting network, because we are convicted and convinced that we could not do what we are called to do without your partnership. So when we say thank you, we mean that from the bottom of our hearts, because it is together that we do the work that God has assigned our hands to do. And that is precisely what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about volunteer service and doing the work that God has assigned our hands to do. As we talk about an institution in the Adventist circles, I don't know, and we'll find out from my guests how long they've been doing this. It's been a little while now, but when we talk about Maranatha Volunteers International, we talk about a group that is known certainly church-wide and, dare I say, worldwide for lifting up the name of Jesus, getting their hands dirty in doing that, and being blessed by doing that. So we're going to talk about Maranatha and volunteer service and what it can do for you, to you, with you, and through you when you give your hand and your heart to the work of God. My guests are David Lopez, who is the Director of Volunteer Projects at Maranatha. David, good to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Pleasure.
Very good to have you here. And of course, we know your dad. He's been here many, many times, a doctor, and been serving the Lord for a long time.
That's true. That's true.
Really, really great guy. Mary Johnson, how are you?
Good.
Very good. And Teresa, or is it Teresa? Teresa Owen. Good to have you here. These ladies have been volunteers and have gone on projects, and we're going to talk about how it changed their lives and how you can get that same kind of glow. You see, they're smiling, and they've been smiling since they got here. But they're smiling because they're happy in Jesus.
Amen.
And when you're working for Jesus, I dare say you smile a lot more than you frown, because there's so much more to smile about. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to try to stir this and make a wonderful and gorgeous soup of volunteer experiences on today's program. I want to start with you, David, because I want to ask the question, what does the Director of Volunteer Projects do?
I have the privilege of working with all the volunteers that go out, and so I need to make sure that they're safe, that they have a good experience, and that they find Jesus throughout their experience.
So when I come to or call Maranatha with an idea that we want to take a group or I want to be part of it, you'd be the first person or one of the first persons that I would liaison with?
Myself or somebody in the team, absolutely. So we're working with church groups, with academies, with schools, with individuals that want to go do mission trips.
Let's disabuse ourselves of a myth right out the gate.
Absolutely.
That most or all of the projects in Maranatha are overseas. That is not, if it ever was true, it is not true anymore.
You know, this last year we had 2,100 volunteers, and out of those 2,100 volunteers, close to 700 of those were here in the U.S.
So there are a lot of things going on in the U.S.
There are a lot of projects going on in the U.S. This next year, in the calendar year, we have 26 projects scheduled here in the U.S.
Wow.
Alone.
That's a lot. So. Yeah. So for those who say, you know what, there's so much to do here, why are they going over there? You can answer that question. And for those who say there's so much going on over there, why are we wasting our time here? You can answer that question too.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and it's a great way to get started. It really is. There's a lot of people are driving, they're taking their RVs, they're staying with church members' homes, whatever it may be, but it's an option where the local host, a church or a school that we're helping build, will help cover their expenses while they're there. So they just need to get there. So it's a really easy way for volunteers to get started.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. The U.S. projects, we're talking about schools, academies, churches, those kinds of things.
A lot of camp renovations. There's academies that are in dire need of help with renovating their dormitories, landscaping, building cabins, whatever it may be at these different places, we're helping.
Praise the Lord. That's wonderful. Let me ask you this. You were born where?
I was born in the U.S., in Washington, Walla Walla, Washington. But my dad was born in Panama, Panama, to sons of, well, parents were missionaries there, sent from Guatemala. And my mother was born in the U.S., but quickly after traveled down to Guatemala, and where her parents started different academies in Guatemala, Honduras, Belize.
So the missionary bug is kind of in your DNA,
I think so, yeah. I was raised with those mission stories firsthand. Absolutely.
How does one become the director of volunteer projects? I don't think you sitting in first grade and say, you know, one day I'm going to be the director of volunteer projects for Maranatha. Something you stumbled into, something you worked your way towards, something you wanted to be part of. Was it the missionary aspect that kind of thrilled you? How did you find yourself into that?
Well, you're absolutely right. It wasn't something that I set out in first grade, you know, but you get the question all the time, what are you going to be when you grow up?
Right.
And I thought I had to be a doctor or a pastor to be able to make a difference, but you know what, God can use us wherever we are.
Oh, yes.
And in high school, I think even my motto or what I wanted to be was just God's hands. I had no idea. Even in college, I was studying everything. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be a dentist. I wanted to do all these different things. And really at age 14, I went on my very first Maranatha project to Panama. And we were helping build this church in the middle of nowhere, Corozo, over in Chiriquí. And it was just really impactful, really life-changing, and it was something where I knew I needed to come back, and I wanted to continue service and being able to create, you know, carry on the legacy, really. And so it was each summer. It was helping out in those different ways, and I helped translate, and then I was helping assist the project, and I was helping different ways. And in college, I was asked if I'd take a year out to come help Maranatha in the field in Costa Rica. And so we built 32 churches and 12 schools all around the country of Costa Rica. And it was just really, I didn't want to go back to school. I wanted to work with Maranatha full time. My dad's like, no, you have to go back to school, finish up your degree. So I did business, and shortly after was asked and invited to come back to Maranatha. And so it was a great opportunity, and so worked myself up to the director of volunteer projects.
Oh, praise the Lord, praise the Lord.
It's been an awesome adventure.
Amen and amen. Mary and Teresa, before we go to our music, I just want to sort of dip our toe in the water. Mary, where are you from?
California.
California. And Teresa?
Texas.
Texas. Mary, Adventist home growing up?
Yes.
So you grew up, you are an Adventist. You grew up in the Adventist.
Adventist school.
Yeah.
Grade 1 all the way through grad school, yes.
Okay, you are very much Adventist. Teresa, same question. Adventist home growing up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Missionary parents, Adventist home.
Ooh, a lifer. Give me some sense, and then I'll go to our music. I want to come back and sort of mind this a little bit. And I'll start with you, Mary. Some sense of your walk with the Lord prior to doing any mission service. Give me some flavor as to, you know, your relationship with the Lord, your work in the church, that kind of thing, where you were as an Adventist.
Before I had gone overseas to do missions, I didn't have a global perspective of Adventism. And I didn't have as much of a vision of the needs around the world. And then after going and doing mission trips with Maranatha, you just feel such a global Adventist family. Like, we're everywhere. And we go to help out our Adventist brothers and sisters in all parts of the world. And so it's definitely helped me feel more connected to us as a world church.
Would you say, in looking at your life pre-mission trips, that you were kind of an on-fire Adventist, kind of a laissez-faire Adventist, kind of a struggling Adventist? Where would you put yourself on that continuum?
I think I was kind of in the middle. I definitely wasn't as grateful for what God has done for me as I am now. I definitely wasn't as, you know, adept to look for the need in others and try to help people out. Whereas now that I've been on so many mission trips, in daily life, you know, I like to pass out glow tracts, give Bible studies, things to like keep that mission spirit going. Whereas before, you know, we would go to the junior, senior Bible camp, Pathfinder camporees, you'd have these mountaintop experiences. And then, especially as a teenager, I would just tend to leave them there. Whereas after going on a mission trip for a longer time and then wanting more, and it's like, I want to keep that momentum going, keep that mountaintop experience, bring it back into daily life, into the valleys of life.
Now, Teresa, you're married?
No.
No, not married. You have children?
I do have children.
Okay. And you took them with you last time?
Yes, I took them to Kenya this summer on a family trip.
Okay.
And they loved it.
Praise the Lord. Give me some sense of, again, your life as you're living it. You got children you're raising. Prior to going on mission trips?
Well, Well, I've always had a global perspective myself, but I really wanted that my kids would get that aspect of there is more to the world than the U.S. And there is service that we can do and be a blessing to other people as we travel and get to know the world. So that was really what prompted me to take my kids.
Oh, okay. Did you see in their lives, how can I put this, the flame sort of come on, the light sort of come on when they went with you?
I really did. It really made a difference. It made a difference for them to connect with other people around the world, with seeing the needs. Even though they're kids, they can still see the needs, and they're on fire to go again. They just absolutely loved it, looking forward to the next trip. They're talking to their classmates and their family about the experiences that they had there, and they absolutely loved it.
They're what age?
8 and 12.
So at the age where they can certainly benefit from this, dare I say, cognitive, they're old enough to know what's going on and really benefit from the experience.
Yeah, they're definitely old enough to say, this is not the way I live in the U.S.
Yeah.
Not everyone in the world has the exact same experience that I do, but yet I can still enjoy interacting with them, playing them with them, making friends with them, serving with them.
Yeah. I want to come back, and I want to send a series of questions to each of you to sort of mind that. One of the reasons why I am so enthused about what Maranatha does is one of the first true miracles I saw in my ministry happened on a Maranatha trip. There was a young lady, and this is a trip to, I don't remember if it was Dominican Republic or Panama. After a while, they kind of run together a little bit. Because I did mission trips every year from 1986 to 2002. Wow. When I was in ministry, we had a young lady, her name was Amanda. Her dad told her, if you are valedictorian of the class, I will get you a car. He said, it won't be a new car, but I'll get you a car. And she was doing great. She was valedictorian in class. She was carrying a 3.9, and you can run out the decimals, and kind of thing, because she got an A-, so it wasn't a perfect 4.0. But she went on a Maranatha trip, and I think it was Dominican Republic. And she worked. She carried blocks. She was in the cement mixing. She was just doing all of this physical stuff.
Sure.
And when she came back home, this was a spring break kind of a deal, so we're heading towards graduation. She went into a coma. And the doctor said, her mother was a teacher in our Adventist Academy in New York. He said when they did the MRI and some of the other tests, he said that it's the size of a tennis ball. And kind of oblong, shaped like an egg. But they said, we don't know how she ever even got on the plane. They said that her balance should have been affected, her speech should have been affected, her ability to carry weight should have been affected. And this thing has been there for a long time. But she went on that trip, and the amount of work she did was almost superhuman. She stayed in that coma for a long time, and then finally she passed. But the doctors said, we don't know how she ever got on a plane and did the kind of things you're telling us that. And we did a video of her life, and I showed when I shot the video and edited it myself, the kind of labor that she put out on that trip. They said, how's she doing that? There's no way in the world she should have been doing that. And even the neurosurgeon came to the church and came to the service and said, no way. There's no way. That just makes no medical sense that with that kind of size tumor wrapped around the organs that it was in the brain, how is that happening? And a lot of people were so impressed at the miracle working power of the Lord, but also that the Lord chose to do this on a Maranatha trip in a foreign country, that she was able to do this kind of thing. Yeah, and that really, I was just impressed with that. And since then have always sort of kept an eye on Maranatha because of its ability to change lives.
Amen.
And the miracles that we saw. We want to go to our music now, then we're going to come back and spend a little more time with our three guests. Our music is coming from Margie Salcedo Rice, a longtime friend of this ministry, and she is going to be singing "I Have Fixed My Mind."
On another time, and here I mean to stand until God gives me more light, and that is today, today, today until He comes. I have fixed my mind on another time, on another time. I have set my course on the narrow way, on the narrow way, for I know the day is close at hand, for which I watch and pray. Even so, Lord, come quickly. That is my fervent prayer. For I've caught a glimpse of glory, and I'm longing to be there. When shall the Son of Man appear? The trumpet sound its blast, and Christ descend with glorious fire, with all the saints amassed. We'll rise with those who sleep no more to meet Him in the air. When shall the Son of Man appear? The Son of Man appear. Even so, Lord, come quickly. That is my fervent prayer. For I've caught a glimpse of glory, and I'm longing to be there. For I've caught a glimpse of glory, and I'm longing to be there. I have fixed my mind on another time, on another time.
And thank you, Margie Salcedo Rice, good friend of the ministry. Well done. I have fixed my mind. Dave, I want to come back to you, man, because you've got when I say you, Maranatha has got many different ways that a person can serve. Teresa's talking about the family deal.
Absolutely.
You can do family, you can do ultimate workout, which is geared, I guess, to young people, young adults, youth and young adults, teenagers. You can go solo, you can hook yourself up with a group. Kind of walk me through the offerings and the sort of spread of different offerings that you have.
Absolutely, yeah. There's really options for every age group, starting with the family group. If you want to bring your baby with you, if you want to bring your 3-year-old, but most of them are 9, I'd say, to teenage years for the family projects. And then we have specific projects. So the specific youngest would be the teenage project. So Ultimate Workouts age for that would be if you're going into high school, if you're in high school, or just finished high school. And then we have a young adult project for those that are in college or after college, young at heart even. And then there are the open team projects for all ages throughout. And so then there's the group project. So if you had an academy or Sabbath school group or church group that would like to go on a trip, we can customize that trip for you. So you can pick the dates, you can pick where you'd like to go. And right now we're working in 17 different countries with volunteers.
Wow.
So there's a lot of options for people to go.
Teresa, I want to come to you, thinking about this whole family thing. Your 8-year-old was really able to benefit from this kind of regime.
Oh, he loved it. He threw himself in, absolutely. First VBS, they said, hey, anybody want to help with the games? He's like, he ran a station of games for the kids. He, this is what you do, and I'll keep score for you, and wasn't at all afraid to just jump right in, participate, no matter what was going on.
Bless his heart. Did you see any long-term residual when you returned? Were they able to sort of hold that fire when they came back to the States?
Yeah, definitely. They're loving talking about their trip. They're wanting their friends to come on the next trip next summer. I mean, they're definitely excited to go on mission trips, and that's exactly what I wanted.
Praise the Lord. David, do you get a lot of recidivism, dare I say? Do you get a lot of people who come back again and again and again and again?
We do, yeah, we do. In fact, this year there's one individual that's already been on 8 trips. And so this is something that, dare I say an addiction, but it's something that you want to shine. Once your light is turned on for Jesus, it's something that it's hard to put that bushel over it. It's going to be shining.
Yeah, which kind of leads me to Mary, because you are a habitual.
Definitely. I would call
Mary, as a
myself
person, you're kind of in the
junkie.
revolving door. How many have you gone on?
I've gone on 19 mission trips total, 10 with Maranatha.
10 with Maranatha. What is it about that experience that is so addictive to you?
There's so many things about it. It's the camaraderie with the saints. You're just working together, and not just the people in your group, but the people in the other countries. You just feel this globalness of working together to finish the work. And sometimes, many of the places I've gone, I've been able to speak the language, because a lot of places they speak Spanish, I can understand Portuguese. But even in places in Africa where I didn't even really understand the language, you still just have this global feeling of we're all God's children, we're all in this together, and we all want to finish the work. And it just gives you that urgency to let's hurry up, let's get this done, let's go home.
So now, what is your regular 9 to 5?
I'm a teacher by trade, high school teacher by trade.
Okay.
Except for this school year, I'm taking a year off to do as many short-term mission trips as I can.
Well, bless your heart. So even in your teaching time, you can sort of structure your teaching year so that you get some time to do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
spring breaks and summers. Since 2013, I've gone on one each year. I've gone on 2 to 3 some years. 2 in the summer, 1 in spring break.
How are you able to take a whole year just to fulfill this dream? Because for someone like me, it would be a dream to just do mission trips, as many as you can squeeze into to 1 year.
Well, it's been my dream for the past several years. When I started really going on a lot of mission trips in 2013, I would meet a lot of people who were retired.
Yes.
And I would just think, oh, wow, that's so neat. They can go on as many mission trips as they want. I can't wait to retire 25, 30 years from now. And so it's like thinking, wow, I don't want to wait that long. And so I've been thinking about it for the past few years. And I was thinking, Lord, just, tell me when. I'm ready for change, ready for something different, but, tell me when. And so for the past couple of school years, I would tell my sister, I need a change. I could just I could just go. At the end of the day, at 3 o'clock, if the Lord wants me to go somewhere, I'll just go. And so finally the Lord said, when? And last school year, after many days of prayer and fasting, I submitted a request to my school district, asked them to let me have the school year off, and they would hold my job for me.
Oh, wow.
And so they're holding my job for me. They're not giving me any kind of compensation or pay or anything, but I'm free to travel the world for an entire year.
Now, you were for a public school system, not
Yes, public high school district.
So for the fact that they would do that is a little bit of a miracle in itself, I should suspect.
Somewhat. I've been there for 13 years.
Okay, then.
So after 7 years, you can request sabbatical leave after 7 years.
Teresa, what do you do for your regular employment?
I own a construction company with my father and my brother, and so I have a little bit more flexibility than some people have to go. But I do the paperwork, not the heavy lifting anymore, but the paperwork for.
When you go on a marathon trip, what kind of settles in for you as far as what you tend to be doing?
You know, it depends upon the trip. I went in the summer of '16. I went to Kenya without my boys, and I helped on the metal crew because that's what I grew up doing, putting up metal buildings. When I took my boys, I was with the kids who doing VBS, doing whatever the day camp kids did. And when I was in Brazil, I translated. So it's different every time.
So
but I like that.
Portuguese?
I do.
Bless your heart. Is there, David, a typical Maranatha volunteer, or do they really span the spectrum as far as age, occupation, that kind of thing? Is there a typical kind of person, or is it sort of just all over the map?
It's really all over the map. There's kind of a larger number of high school volunteers and a larger number of retired volunteers, with a growing number of between that, between the 20s to 40s numbers. Those are actually evening out quite evenly. But as far as personality and different things like that, I think it's just really, like I said before, those that have connection with Jesus, that are ready to let their light shine. And there's all sorts of faiths that are joining us. I mean, it's not just Seventh-day Adventist, it's not just Christian. In fact, most people are searching. There's a lot of people that are coming that have just gone through tragedy in their life, that things are changing and they're looking for Jesus. And so many people are coming with that in mind of, I'm going to get something out of this. And what happens is that they're blessing other people and getting something. So it's a win-win.
Where do you see, and I got to structure this question so it makes sense, where do you see the most dramatic changes per age group? Is it teens that change the most? Is it older people that change the most? Where do you tend to see the most dramatic shifts in relationship with God, in on fire for the Lord, in lifestyle, in conviction, in conversion? Where does that sort of play out?
Well, I'll say regardless of the age, it is a honor, and I can't think of a greater joy of just being there when someone does find Jesus for that first time, when there's that connection, when you see that light come on. It's just what a privilege. But I'd say most, and maybe it's biased, but mostly I see it in the teenagers. That's how I started with Maranatha, was through Ultimate Workout, and that's a program that I get to run now. And it's just a fabulous experience to be able to see that light come on in those teenagers. And being able to serve that way. This summer we had baptisms that came out of the 2-week experience that they had been studying before, but they'd been saving this experience. They had heard before that you could get baptized on Ultimate Workout, so they'd been studying up and they'd been ready. And so they approached the pastor the first day and said, this is something I want to have happen the second Sabbath. And so we had planned it out. We were ready to do it down in the river, and lightning and thunder and all sorts of storms came in, and so we had to kind of come to plan B, and which we didn't have. And so we stopped at a couple churches along the way back home and said, no, we just baptized in the river. We don't have a baptism tank. And so what are we going to do? And so one of the pastors had a swimming pool. And so we took that back to the camp that we were staying at. And it was raining so hard that we were able to fill that with rainwater. And so we were taking water off of the roof and filling it up with jugs. And so they were baptized that same day. So,
praise the Lord.
But yeah, it is quite the, I'd say there's nothing like being there present and being a part of, knowing that you're a small part in connecting someone with Christ.
Yeah, that is very, very exciting. Both of my Maranatha trips were, I was the chairman of the board of Northeastern Academy.
Okay.
So I had a chance to watch Academy students, many of whom had been in Adventist schools from day one, you know. But there, you can sort of develop this kind of slow jog being in the Adventist bubble. You know, you're just kind of jogging along. And I saw dramatic changes in Adventist kids who had kind of been just marking time, go on a mission trip and come back on fire, truly on fire with the Lord. Now I'm in the AY, and now I'm doing the kind of things, Mary, that you were talking about, that there is this jump start to your battery that happens when you leave the United States, because we gave them the, of course this is the early days of cell phones, no cell phones, nothing with a headset. We're not having you divorced from your society listening to something, so keep your cell phone in your room. In fact, we didn't let them bring them on a trip. No cell phones, no anything, no pads, no pods, no, you know, none of that stuff. You're going to fully immerse yourself in this experience so that when you come out of it, you will have the experience, not transferring your world to this country and then bringing your world back. We want you in a whole new experience. And I think, and they squirmed and kind of, you know, but once they got into it and realized that there are other kids on the other side of the world, and these kids are kind of like us, and we want to know these kids, it made dramatic changes in their lives. Now, Mary, you've gone on a lot. Have you seen that too, and has it been that way in your own life, that when you sort of forget who you are and leave that American stuff home and really immerse yourself, it changes you?
It does, it does. It has changed my life immensely in regards to faith and just trusting in God through every step, especially because, you know, at home we take so many things for granted. We turn on the faucet and water comes. You know, over there in some places there's no water. We got to pray over it. Can we have some water, Lord? Send us some water. And, you know, we pray here to bless our food, but over there, you know, we pray, I really pray, I don't want to get food poisoning or something like that, make sure everything is okay. And so we spend a lot more time in prayer, which of course is going to draw you a lot closer to God. And I see transformations in our young people. There's a girl who I've gone on 3 or 4 mission trips with her. And when we first, she's bilingual as well, when we first went to Dominican, I would try to get her to help translate with me, and she's like, "Oh, I'm shy. I don't really want to translate." And then we went to Panama the next time, and in Spanish churches, there's no break between Sabbath school and church. So I had to excuse myself between Sabbath school and church and make a break. So I said, I just have to go, and can you just do it for just 5 minutes, you know? So she's like, okay, I'll translate the announcement. So she got up and she did it, and I was like, oh, okay, good, this was meant to be. And then the next year, we were at different sites. I was translating one service, and she was translating the sermon at another service. So I just need to see the growth from this shy kid who kind of didn't want to get up front and translate after being on a few mission trips, then she was up front translating the sermon.
Praise the Lord. Yeah, so see that growth. Teresa, where did you learn your Portuguese?
In Brazil.
As a missionary?
My parents were missionaries.
Oh, you did say that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I spent some time in Brazil.
So you're a very handy person to have on mission trips. Do your children speak another language at all?
No, I try to teach them some Portuguese along the way, but
yeah, kind of spoon feed it. They'll appreciate. That's one of the things you appreciate later on. You know, that there was a second language in the house that we never got. And I always say that if a parent speaks 2 languages, the kids ought to speak 2 languages too, because later on you'll find that Spanish, Portuguese, handy languages to know. Very, very handy languages to know. David, coming back to you, how does one find out what's available, how we can sign up? How do you work your way through that?
I'd say the easiest way is on our website, maranatha.org, and there's all the lists of the projects. They join the volunteer trips, and you can look at all the calendars there and all the different countries. There's fresh that way. There's also a magazine that we can send out to you. There's information we can send out. There's videos. Call our office.
Yeah.
Happy to talk to you.
Good
Absolutely.
deal. Speaking of video, we got something to look at, do we not?
Yeah, we do.
Set it up for us.
Sure, yeah, it's a video about our family projects that we do each year. So I'd say the exciting thing about the family projects is we do it one over Christmas and then a couple over the summer time frame. And so Christmas is important because most families are geared towards the traditional holiday, let's buy each other gifts and whatnot. So the Christmas time frame has become this really important time where this is the gift that we're giving each other this year. We're going on this mission trip to serve others.
Yeah.
And so it's really come back to change a lot of lives that way, and perspective. So
Before we go to the video,
Sure.
Teresa, did you go during a Christmas deal or
It was
no?
the summer.
Oh, it was summer. Okay.
It was a
Are there a lot of people that want to take you up on the Christmas option?
we fill up every year.
Really?
Yeah. So we have 100 people going this Christmas to down to David, Panama.
Okay, we'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll probably hang out.
Sounds good. We could use your help.
Let's take a look.
We've always wanted to instill a spirit of service on our children. And so we've been looking for some form of missionary volunteer type project that we can get ourselves involved in. And this one came about, Maranatha, and we thought it would be a great experience for Caitlin to see life in the third world. My wife and I grew up in a third world country, and we wanted our kids to experience what it was like and see the change, the difference between her childhood and our childhood, and see that she's definitely growing up in a more privileged environment, and it would be good for her to be exposed and see the need and create that spirit of wanting to help others.
We're fairly affluent. Our children have grown up in an affluent society, and we felt that we really need to go to some third world destinations. We need to give them a worldview that differs from how they grew up. We want to expose them to a culture that has extremely poor people that are at the same time really quite satisfied. And so that they realize that all these things that they think they need, these people don't have any of them, and they're a lot happier than they are.
Inside the classroom with the kids, it's pretty warm inside, and there's a bunch of them smashed in together. And we sang a few songs for them, and they were really happy when we sang songs, and then they sang a few songs for us, so it was fun.
Edsel, Randy, and Savannah are talking about Maranatha's Family Project. Wherever it takes place, those that come meet and discover new people and people groups, experience new things, observe their world through a different lens, and learn that giving really does feel better than receiving. Maranatha's Family Project. What is your family learning on vacation?
That is really cool. The idea of taking families then is a big part of what Maranatha seeks to do.
It's a growing part, absolutely. So we're looking at offering even an option here in the U.S. Where it'd be a little bit easier for families to be able to go, because by the time you add up 4 or 5 people to go international, it's a significant contribution.
Yeah. Now, Teresa, you said your son was 9, 8, 9.
8.
8.
And my oldest son is 12.
Okay. Do you have a lower limit that you try to kind of stay above, or are you taking them at all ages?
You know, I think that they can go at all ages. My son's been on a number of projects, and it's impactful. I mean, I was telling them earlier this morning that there's a difference in the way that he lives his life. In fact, we got new neighbors just next door just last month, and he saw a little kid playing on his bicycle, and he ran over, what's your name? And he said, well, my name's Bryce. Oh, my name's Crosby. And the second question out of his mouth was, do you trust God?
Oh, my soul.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I never would have asked. You know? I was almost like just kind of in panic. How's he going to respond?
Yeah.
But it was just really interesting to see how, at that age, after being exposed to service and seeing his dad do that international, it was just something that was, well, why not ask him?
Yeah.
And so we were headed to church later that week, and he asked me, he said, Dad, how come Bryce isn't going to church? He said he trusts God. So there's the conversation starter right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Teresa, you sort of alluded to that. Have you seen that sort of holy boldness in your children post-Maranatha trips? Have you seen that kind of assertiveness for the Lord?
Yes, they are definitely, it increased their relationship with God. made them on fire to talk about going and serving other people, and the excitement of I want to go again. I want my friends to go with me. I want them to see that there are other Adventists in the world. There are kids in a different country that still go to church, just like I do every Sabbath morning, and to want to go and see that. And my kids have wanted to take their friends and their cousins with them. And so it is making a difference. I think even in our school, the school that my boys go to, you know, I'll have kids, hey, I saw you on Facebook. I saw Ryler and Caleb on Facebook this summer in Africa. Or, you know, hey, are you taking me with you next summer?
Wow.
You know, and so it's definitely something that my kids are spreading the word, and they had a very positive experience, and they're on fire to go again.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. It seems as though your boys are pretty good, pretty solid kids. But I want you and Mary to talk about, from slightly different experiences, this idea, if you've got a young person who maybe doesn't know who they are or what they are, they're aimless, they don't have any focus, do you see Maranatha trips as a way of helping a young person find themselves? Maybe they're even acting out, you know. So you take off all the electrical accoutrements that they're used to draping on themselves, and you put them in a foreign situation, and you make them work up a sweat. Is that a good way in your minds to help that child sort of find out who they are and maybe get a hold on Jesus that they've never had before?
I would say definitely. I would say for me personally, because my first mission trip was when I was a freshman at PUC, that is when I found my life's work. I was going to be, I was always planning to be a teacher, but I was planning just to do elementary. And while on that mission trip, when I was taking Spanish classes before, but I wasn't majoring in Spanish. And so when I was talking to people in Spanish, having like meaningful conversations, not just, hola, ¿cómo estás? You know, like real conversations, I said, wow, I really like this Spanish thing. And that's when I went back and decided to major in Spanish and also teach high school. So that really gave me, that fine-tuned my focus from being on a Maranatha mission trip.
So we get two different types of answers when parents are calling us for their teenager. They say either my kid's going to be really good for this project, or my kid really needs this project, this experience. Please help us. You know, and that's usually what we get. And it's really awesome to get those phone calls from parents and say, my kid had no direction, didn't have any idea what he wanted to study, where he wanted to go, what he wanted to do, and they came back not only praising Jesus for this experience, but they know now they want to be a dentist, they want to be a doctor, they want to be a construction person, or they know they don't want to be a dentist, or whatever it may be. But that experience completely changes lives. Absolutely.
So you get a significant amount of what's the word? Response as to how your trip has impacted those lives. You hear a lot of that.
Absolutely. I mean, to the tune of them sending us flowers and fruit baskets and phone calls and thank you letters, and it's just an overwhelming response afterwards.
Talk to me a little bit about, and perhaps we can all weigh in on this. It's not an inexpensive thing. Is it worth the money? I think we can all say yes. It's worth it. How can I want to go, or I've got a young person who wants to go? What are some of the kinds of ways that we can help young people afford this, get money to go?
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear what examples they have, but I also know that there's lots of different ways. I mean, you don't have to write a check yourself. There's many of them are selling cookies or doing car washes or writing letters to be able to do this. Isn't something that most of them can afford to do. And
just pull out of their pocket.
Absolutely. A lot of them are getting their churches together and helping support, but it is a team effort.
Yeah. And I suspect that working to get your money kind of sweetens the pot a little bit as far as the experience is concerned. I had to hustle to do this. It wasn't handed to me. I had to kind of work to do this, and then you get the joy that comes from service.
But there are a lot of people that can't go, that are saying, well, this is something that I'm not able to physically go do. I would like to help other people go. And so if you're in that boat, we definitely have scholarships set up so that you can donate towards, so that other people can go. But I've been on the phone with a teenagers. They were, I really want to go. There's no way. I don't have a church family. My dad's unemployed at the moment. And there's just no way that I can go financially. I said, well, let's pray about it. So I'm on the phone with them praying about it.
Yeah.
When receptionist comes in and says, David, you got to take this call. I said, well, I'm on the phone, I'm praying. Do you see what's going on? And it's like, okay, well, sorry, let me put you on hold, and let me take this other person. And it was somebody else who was not able to physically go. And said, by chance. Here I am, like, all upset. Like, oh, here I am taking this call with somebody that can't go. And I was just talking to somebody that can go. Let me finish that conversation. God, why did this happen? And so as I'm listening to her about all of her ailments that are happening and all the sicknesses that are going on in her life, at the end of that, she's like, well, is it a possibility that I could just send money and somebody else could go? So before we finish the
well,
prayer,
hello, yes.
the answer is there, and that's how God works.
Praise the Lord. So if I'm a person who maybe is just thinking about it and really cannot go, I can just send my money and say, allocate this to somebody who needs
Absolutely.
to go.
Absolutely, and that goes for the donations of the buildings too.
Excellent.
Many people think that Maranatha's got this big checkbook to do all these buildings. We have over 100,000 requests for churches.
Yeah.
80,000 for schools.
Yeah.
It's just like blowing numbers, and that's growing each year as the Adventist Church grows. And so, if you look at the cost that goes into each building, if you look at, okay, well, I'm going to fundraise and I'm going to build a church. Okay, great. You're building a church, but you're also providing an experience for volunteers to go. So it's a double benefit.
Yeah, I guess the request must be legion. The conference president in the West Panama Conference is a close family friend, and the union president is an acquaintance. And I happen to know the number of requests out of Panama alone could bury you. I mean, just you could spend all your money in Panama, and you've got a world field. So there is certainly, if the money is there, you got a place to spend it.
Absolutely.
And to spend it well. Ladies, I want you to do something. I'm going to ask you one of those high concept ontological questions we ask every now and again. And you don't have a long time to give me the answer. But give me some sense of your life. This is Mary pre-Maranatha. This is Mary now. This is Teresa and family pre-Maranatha. This is Teresa now. As far as your growth, your worldview, your perspective on God and your church and service, pre-post. Can you do that? Who wants to go first?
I guess I will.
Okay.
My boys, 8 and 12, they had heard stories about Brazil. Me, the time that my parents spent in Brazil growing up, but they had never really experienced it. So I wanted to take them to see, and they were excited. Well, let's go see the part of the world, So. But my older son was hesitant. He was, I don't know, Mom. I don't know if I want to go. I'm not going to know anybody. I'm not going to know what's going on. I don't know. And it was just an opportunity to say, but do you trust God to take care of you regardless of where you are? God doesn't live in America only. God lives in the whole world. He will go with you, right beside you, no matter where you are.
Yes.
And He will give you an opportunity to serve, and He'll make sure that your experience is good for you. And now, okay, Mom, where are we going next summer? Okay, Mom, where are we going the next summer?
Oh, he's got the bit in his mouth. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The one that was the most fearful, oh, Mom, I just don't really know whether I want to go or not, my older one. Oh, he's absolutely on fire. Well, I want to go here, and then after the trip, I want to visit here, and then where are we going on the next trip? And he's just absolutely, Mom, I must go to Bolivia this summer with you. He's, let's check the website, Mom, and see where their family trips are. Yeah, absolutely.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Mary, same thing. Obviously, you've changed because you're taking a year off. That's dramatic. That's not toe in the water. That's kind of diving in full gainer layout with the, kind of thing.
Yes.
So obviously there's been a change in you and your experience over the last several years.
I would say it's changed my life immensely. Like faith has taught me to pray over every single thing, everything. I was at Big Lake, and we were driving the tractor, and the lady couldn't get the e-brake to go down. Sometimes people pull it up too hard and it doesn't go down. And I said, well, let me try it. And I just thought, okay, I just paused and just prayed in my head about it, and then it went down. And she's like, oh, that's neat. What did you do? I said, I prayed. Because it's taught me to pray without ceasing over every single little thing.
Yes.
Things that we think are little, they're all important to God. It's changed my life physically, in that I am in better physical shape from all the manual labor on these mission trips. And I avoid sugar and dairy because I want to stay healthy, so I can not miss out on mission trips and miss out on activities. And it has changed my perspective in daily life, whereas I'm more apt to pass up glow tracks more, because I want to keep that mission trip feeling going. I'm like, well, I need to be doing something. I'm a missionary every day, whether I'm on a mission trip or not, whether I'm on my job or not, whether I'm at the grocery store, I'm a missionary every day. And so I look at every day as a mission trip. Every day is a day to serve God, tell him of his love, and just try to get us home sooner.
Yeah. And the reason I asked you that question is because you both have Adventist backgrounds. And I find that if you've been in the Adventist bubble from day one, it's easy to settle into this jog, you know, to kind of just jog along. And you're going forward, but you're jogging, you know, and that the Maranatha experience tends to put you into more of a sprint mode.
Oh yeah.
You know,
it's intense.
Yeah.
It's a race.
And it's something that lasts throughout your life. It's not like a short race. You're sprinting from now to the finish line.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Full speed ahead.
Praise the Lord. We want to go now to our address roll, because you may have heard something that has touched a chord in your heart. You may want to go. You may want to send someone else. You may have young people that you want to have this experience. You may have children like Teresa does. You may want to immerse yourself into the Maranatha experience. Whatever motivates you, it doesn't matter. It's just get off the couch and get moving, and the Lord will bless that activity for him. Should you want to make contact with Maranatha Volunteers International, here is the information that you're going to need.
To find out how you can support Maranatha Volunteers International or one of its programs like the $10 Church or the One-Day Church and School, just visit maranatha.org. There you will also find information on volunteer opportunities in the U.S. and abroad. That address again is maranatha.org. You may contact them by calling 800-467-6384 or write them at Maranatha Volunteers International, 990 Reserve Drive, Suite 100, Roseville, California, 95678.
And that is good information. I want, in the time that remains, for each of you to take just a few moments and sort of encourage the people that are watching. You can come from your own Maranatha experience, something that has impressed you on the trip, but just look into your camera. I'll start with David, and just give us your own experience and sort of encourage the folk at home.
Yeah, I think it's exciting when you do have that experience, a connection with Jesus, that you become that light. And truly, you are there to be able to really plug into Jesus and to be able to shine that. And it's something where, just like the song goes, you know, you don't want to hide it under a bushel. You want to be able to shine that. And, you know, I love the Adventist Church, and I believe that we're founded with doctrine, and that there's that glow that's there from within. But I think that just one thing that I think we need to be careful about is, like, what's the number one rule of a flashlight? You know, if you have a flashlight, the number one rule is you don't want to shine it in someone's eye, in someone's face, right? Yes. So that's I think the same way, where God is going to call us to shine that light, for that flashlight to be your light that shines the path that others can walk on. So I think going on mission trips and going and just stretching yourself and shining that light in your community, wherever it may be, don't hide it, just let it shine.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Mary.
Amen. I would say that if you want to grow spiritually, if you want to see your life changed, if you want to get a global perspective of Adventism around the world, and if you want to challenge yourself, then you should definitely go on a Maranatha mission trip.
Okay. Teresa, and you only got a few seconds.
I would say, if you want your children to experience the world and see that God works and moves through the whole world, and not just in America, then take your kids on a Maranatha family mission trip.
Praise the Lord. Our time has fast slipped into eternity. Allow me in closing to wish you both grace and peace through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye, and God bless.